40 years of developing hockey players from youth to the pros, Minnesota Hockey Camps has a player development program for you. Located in Breezy Point, Minnesota, our professionally coached on-ice development sessions, off-ice speed training, weight room sessions, stick handling sessions, shooting skill sessions are the right program for you. MHC takes great pride in its tradition with developing NHL players like Chris Stewart, Ryan Bugsy Malone, Scotty Hartnell, and TJ Oshie. Our dedicated staff is ready for you. Come check us out at MinnesotaHockeyCamps.com. Sign up for your chance to become the player you've always wanted to be. Hashtag who will be next.
Cold showers, leaking pipes, furnace giving you the chills? Look no further. At Iron Range Plumbing and Heating, we've got you covered. From expert plumbing solutions to HVAC magic and all sheet metal work, we are your one-stop shop for comfort and reliability. Professional service from a team that cares. Say goodbye to household woes and hello to peace of mind. Call Iron Range Plumbing and Heating today and feel the difference.
At Grand Rapids Chevrolet GMC in Grand Rapids, Minnesota, we have the trucks. Over 47 new Silverados and Sierras sitting currently on the lot with more to come. We have all the options: LT, RST, LTZ, High Countries, ZR2s. We have heavy duties. We have Sierra, SLT, Elevations, Denali's. We are equipped for the truck you are looking for. With great rebates currently, with up to $12,500 off on select models, now would be a great time to take advantage of savings and get yourself into a new truck today. Grand Rapids GM in Grand Rapids, Minnesota.
Everybody to the Tea with Miss McGill show from beautiful Zorbas on Pekegama Lake. Happy Independence Day week to all of you. We are once again presented by Fortune Bay Resort and Casino, which is on beautiful Lake Vermilion. Fortune Bay offers 172 rooms in a smoke-free resort environment, indoor pool, full-service marina, RV park, world-class golf, several dining options, a bar, and all the gaming you can handle. Visit fortunebay.com for more details and plan your trip right now, right this week. Walleyes are, you got co-workers over that way.
I do.
The walleyes are biting on Vermilion.
Go.
So make plans to visit Fortune Bay Resort and Casino today.
Bring your wallet and
your wallet.
Golf clubs.
And the golf. Yeah, the golf's going on too. So it is Buka speaking. Around the corner, it is the star of the show, Coach Reed Larson, episode 111. Couple of special guests we're going to get to here in just a second. A few subs since our last, and a couple of names you guys are going to recognize. Dakota Clark, D Chove 3, Sully 271, and Tom Andrikin.
Tom and
So be just like these fine folks and subscribe to America's fastest growing hockey podcast today. All right, a very special guest here, Roy Smith, Tommy Fredrickson. We're going to be talking Hibbing Community College hockey. Yeah, we practically have. Yeah, go ahead and clap. We practically have a live audience. Jeez, oh man, this is a big deal. The pressure's on.
Pressure's on.
And I'm in a jacket, so I'm sweating at the end. It's not the pressure; it's the jacket. So
this is pretty impressive. First live audience I think we've had. This is great.
Yep, and then of course our producer Reggie. Look at the merch in the back. We got a great backdrop here, so we're gonna have a lot of fun this afternoon. But yeah, we're gonna talk Cardinal hockey, Hibbing Community College Cardinal hockey specifically. These two are on the 1985 National Championship run. So why don't we just start out with, like I said, we'll do like the 2 to 3 minute version for each of you. Roy, why don't you kick us off? Just
all right.
How you got started with hockey? Just kind of, give us the 3 minute version leading up to HCC.
How I got started in hockey. Well, first of all, I'm a Ranger. Right, so that it's kind of born in you. Not from a hockey family, so probably learned to skate not far from here on Southwood Road, right out on Southwood Bay, skating around with my brother and my cousin. And then it was kind of outdoor rinks in Rhine Edition, and then up to Greenhaven. I grew up in a pretty tough neighborhood, and so. But the worst part of getting started in hockey was going from Rhine Edition in Hibbing, where I grew up, trying to get to the Greenhaven rink. You had to go through homemakers, and that's where Billy Grillo
Oh,
lived,
yeah.
Jimmy Grillo,
Tony Drulli.
the Walters, Tony Drulli, all those guys. So if you made it, you had to fight your way to the rink. And if you got there and got some ice time, Dom Grillo would split us up into teams and you'd get to play. And then kind of made my way up. Hibbing had a very rich, every elementary school had house teams. And so playing house team hockey for Greenhaven. Freddie, I think you were a Jefferson guy.
So this is, to give the audience, so this would have been the 70s, right?
Yeah, that would have been the 70s. Yep, early 70s, late 60s in that era. So when I started, no masks,
Yeah, Willie's belts, no
Yep.
mask.
steel blades, no toques,
No toques,
none of that stuff. And anyway, and so made my way up through house league, and then I got to about pee-wees. There still was no traveling teams, and so I remember a guy by the name of Rick Radovich pulled together a team toward the end of the year, and he took some of the better players off all the house teams. And to my claim to fame is I was the last guy he picked. That was it. I wouldn't be here today.
Wouldn't be here today.
If it wasn't for Rick. He took a chance on me, and I never forgot that. And he said it was because I skated hard and I worked hard and whatnot. So. And on that team was, Pat Micheletti and the Hoopers and Terry Bazal and Brady Bazal. I mean, it was a stacked team, and we went down and did pretty well and came back. And then it was the Bantam traveling started to kick up, so I was playing that, and then made my way onto the JV team, and did okay there. Ended up getting kind of pulled up about midway through the season as a sophomore because somebody got hurt. And finished out that year, and then played my junior and senior year. Lost to Grand Rapids every freaking time in Hibbing, to go to the state tournament. But in fact, my senior year, we were IRC champs, and I think had beaten them earlier in the year, and then lost to them 5-2 at home
final?
in that game in the section final.
What
And
year
so
was that?
That would have been 81.
81.
Yeah, and then getting to the Cardinals, so. I hung around for a little while. I was engaged to that woman right there.
See her.
And she cut me from the team. I'll just say that I was cut from the team. And anyway, I played 1 year. I played that first year on the 82-83 team, and then I hurt my shoulder really bad. I had to have an extensive shoulder surgery. I always say I had a hurt shoulder, a broken heart, and a messed up head. And I went out to the West Coast, Seattle, Washington, and I started working. I worked on a fishing boat for a little while, and I worked on a ranch, and I was around some guys that were in the gym, and I met some guys that played in the wintertime. They played for the Kamloops Breakers, and they got me back out on the ice in Tacoma, and I played a little bit, and then I came back. I was watching what this 84 team was doing a little bit, right? And they had a hell of a run, and I came back, and I decided I wanted to play, so I went and saw Frank. And I remember him asking me, well, what do you want? What do you want from this journey? And he had a national championship ring on his desk, and I said, I want one of those.
Frank Catani.
Here we are.
Yeah, here we are. Okay.
That's it.
Tommy, what's
So
your version?
similar to Roy, although I'm a year younger than Roy, but we just started with the same thing. So my mom told me, my brother's 4 years younger than I, that she was 9.5 months pregnant with him, and she dragged me down to the rink because I wanted to go skating. She was in labor with my brother, but she brought me to the rink down the local rink down 39th Street. So similar to Roy, we had a lot of house league stuff, right? So I played for Jefferson. We also had a rink. All the neighbors on 39th Street kind of co-opted and had a rink put in, and so we played there. And it was a lot of outdoor stuff. I mean, coming home from school, we went to the rink. My mom would flash the lights. We'd come home for dinner, put our skates back on, go out. So we played a lot of high school. Then we didn't start traveling. Walt Reuter was the one who put the Pee Wee team together when I was playing at the end of the year, right?
Yep.
And then
At the end of the year?
at the end of the year, the end of the
they
Pee
came,
Wee
yeah.
year, yeah, we played one tournament. At the end of the year, we played.
Okay, interesting.
Then Bantams when we started traveling. So I played Bantams, played a year at JV, was on the varsity team with Roy in 81 when we lost to Rapids, and was lucky enough to be on the 82 team that finally beat them to go to state in 82. I then took a year and went to the University of Minnesota, and that's when the economy started to turn. And so I came back to Hibbing in 83, and I played the 83-84 season at the HCC, where we won the first national championship, and then stuck around and we repeated. Roy and I did with the same team in 80. 85.
I want to touch on that theme of times were tough. Let me get an ad read in here quick, and then we'll let you fire away on that.
Yeah.
All right. Aero Auto Glass, let's apply. Show off your hats, boys.
Chicky.
Is your source for windshield repairs and replacement with same-day repair services available. Aero Auto also provides in-home services like installing and repairing your windows, glass doors, and even glass shower doors. Aero Auto specializes in commercial glass door installation and repair. All of their work is warranted, and they accept all insurance companies for your convenience. Aero Auto Glass and Supply, downtown Virginia, and their new location in downtown Hibbing. All right, we were talking a little bit in the pre-chat. Just why don't you explain to people kind of what was going on in the, in the early '80s in the range, and just the sentiment and kind of what was happening there.
Yeah, I didn't start thinking about this all that much until we started talking about doing this and thinking of stories. And I think it was, it was a time, because of the economic downturn in the steel industry, you would have never had a Tom Fredrickson probably come back from the University of Minnesota and play hockey at HCC. There were a lot of really talented players who either didn't go because their parents all of a sudden, there were financial troubles around the house, and they were home playing hockey. So we had a good team, but so did a lot of the other schools around. So it was in 1985, right smack in the middle of probably one of the worst downturns in the steel industry across the United States, and there wasn't a lot going on. I mean, the mines were shut down. I always say when you graduated, you kind of got your diploma and a set of luggage, and you got the hell out of here, right? So Frank understood that, and I can remember, and Freddie probably does, because he was around Frank, a lot more just as a family member, but around him as a coach. He had a strong commitment to the community, and I can remember if we were playing shitty in the first period or something like that, he'd come in that locker room, and I heard the speech many a time. This guy's out here, he's out of work, he's trying to feed his family, he's taking them to a night out, he bought a ticket, and he expects a show, and you look like you're a week early for the Shrine Circus. And that kind of got you going, right?
Well, puts it in
but
perspective.
you knew that was his commitment to it, and I think, and we packed that arena. It was one of the positive things going on in Hibbing at that time. I think it made a difference.
I think it did too.
Well, I'll get to read the next one, but that was one thing I heard about. The crowds were big, and did you guys have like a unique horn, a goal horn or something? I didn't experience it. Tell us about that.
Well, it was the fire song.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, I mean, the 2 years we were there, we scored a lot of goals, so that thing was going like crazy. I mean, the other thing that Frank did is he didn't play the national anthem. He played Kate Smith's rendition of "God Bless America." That was that's what we lined up for before every game.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, that was cool. Big crowds, and we had I remember some of the tech school kids got on board. And they'd get up in the crow's nest up there, and they'd be swinging rubber chickens all,
the
around.
crow. Forget about the crow's
God,
nest.
Yeah,
Yes,
and then you'd come around, and there'd be the Zamboni workers. Remember, the Zamboni came out of kind of that southeast corner there, and there was that thing above it, and the Zamboni guys. It was the same thing in high school. The Zamboni crew would be down there, and some of them you knew, and some of you didn't. So if you got some clown you didn't like much, you'd rub them into that corner, and those guys would grab them by the jersey and kind of give him a couple shots, I think, back there. It was a fun arena to play.
It was very fun.
I mean, it had like those quirks. So at the end where the Zamboni door would close, there was rubber on the bottom of that.
Well, I was rough there all the time.
Remember that? And then you could come down and you could kind of bounce it off that and go right in front.
The hometown advantage.
We'll kick off the Zamboni dart.
Exactly.
Sounds like a play on the power play.
Yeah.
Go to the front of the net, I'm going to rim it off the back of the wall.
I remember our years. Remember Proctor?
Yeah.
That when that corner was the same thing. You didn't know they had a corner entrance too, and the puck went there, and you didn't know which way it was going to go.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, as soon as it
left,
hits a
or
half
center.
open door or something like that, and it kicks right to the front of the net. No, absolutely.
Well, go ahead, Reed.
Yeah, no, this just kind of gives you a little bit of a feel of that era, because now if you follow what goes on after high school hockey in today's day and age, before going off to play Division I hockey, kids are now looking at 2, sometimes 3 years of junior hockey. And this is an era now where instead of going off to that Division I school, some people needed that break, and it wasn't junior hockey in the USHL, it was junior college hockey. And tell me how that kind of solidified keeping all of you guys home for that? Aside from what was going on with the economy and people, coming back for that, talk a little bit about that culture, so to speak.
Well, I think again, it goes up to Frank, right? He always told the story about he had to wait for all the D1 schools to quit calling people, and then his phone would start ringing about people wanting to come play, right? So the junior programs were available. I mean, Stan Bouch went and played up in Moose Jaw for a year and then came back.
Really?
Yeah. So, I mean, but, it was either D1, D2, D3, or, the HCC, right? The college hockey, it was a good version of hockey. Right? We had a team that, I think rivaled. I mean, I read one article. He said that that one of the national championship games looked like a Division I hockey game. He said there's a lot of players on these teams that could have played at that level, right?
Yeah.
But it's people mature at different levels, different times. It's just not right for them. I mean, we didn't have the strenuous training schedule that I would say a D1 program had. A lot of
Maybe
it
not
was
the travel,
Correct.
cross
Yeah.
country.
right, but it was regional, but it was still good hockey.
Well, I can attest to what you said about as far as watching the national championship game. Now this, dates me another 11 years after you guys had won the national championship. I was kind of following my brother. I was a junior in high school in 1996, and my season had just ended, but my brother played for Itasca Community College. And they had their run to the national championship out in Lake Placid, and I remember some of the teams they played in that the NJCAA national tournament, and it's something to watch. You look at some of these kids, like, how did this guy not end up at the University of North Dakota? How did he not end up in some Division I program? The level they're talking about was unbelievable to watch.
It was well, you look at our record and whatnot, and we only lost. I was amazed by that. 3 games we only lost, and they were to, like, what at the time, D3 college teams. That's who we were playing. We lost it. Well, I shouldn't say we lost. We split with Scholastica, Notre Dame of Saskatchewan, and we split with who was the other one? Crookston. Yeah. So Reed, to the of the league, people always say, well, how come NJCAA hockey went away? And they will always say, well, the league dried up. The league dried up. The league dried up because of this. This is what I ran into, and I think of a lot of the other guys that could have gone on and maybe played at, whether it's UW River Falls or UWS or maybe Bemidji State at the time or someplace like that, is there was junior hockey, you're right, but it wasn't so prevalent as it is now. There's a junior, either a USHL team or an NAHL team all over the place. And so what happened was, when that became more and more popular, these kids that would have been playing junior hockey, my problem was when I came out, and Bob Peters made it very clear at Bemidji State, I want freshmen, not juniors. And then so pretty soon you were left with just a smaller group of individuals that were around. Now everybody takes off and plays some. Hell, you go play in the Superior International Hockey League for one of those teams. I always say, the people at the Min State office are going to hate me for this, but I always tell them, bring back NJCAA hockey, because I'll tell you what, floating around the Iron Range right now, I mean, we see them out on the ice Sunday night in Hibbing. There's some guys around that can flat out play hockey, and they're not doing anything.
Right. Yeah, for sure. You always see some of these guys that maybe don't want to take a year off to go play junior hockey. They want to start their college education, but they still want to play. They want competitive level. The travel is regional.
Yeah.
Back in the time, I suppose you might be going to Botno, or you might be going up to Rainy River, or you might be going over to Itasca. But it was more regional than some of these schools that are taking off and flying elsewhere to play, or USHL, or even British Columbia.
Well, yeah, set the stage there a little bit, just so the audience knows, because like Reed said, we're kind of used to like 5 teams. Back in that time, Rochester had a team?
Yep.
Brainerd?
Nope.
Fergus?
Yes.
Fife?
Yes.
Yep. And then Itasca? MCC, or
Masabi, Vermilion, Rainy River.
Oh, Vermilion too. Rainy,
Rochester.
So this was a big.
Yeah.
I mean,
It was
not where me and Reed's generation, there were like 3 to 5 team, whatever it was. But I knew back in the day that I'd seen from some records, stuff like
Yeah,
holy
you'd
cow,
see
like,
these college prep schools out east that are doing this as well too. Or
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you know, Sunny Canton and some of these schools that we saw Itasca play in '96 when they were out in Lake Placid. You know, some of those teams in the national championship.
I have a feeling we're gonna have a Canton story coming up here a little
Canton
bit.
story.
Plenty of Canton stories.
Okay, well, why don't we get into it then? Let's. Okay, so we know the economic times, we know your history, so it's October, whatever, of 1984. You decided to play hockey. Let's start with the tryouts, because I mean, we were looking at that scrapbook, and what was it, 40 guys vying for, you know, so tell us a little about, start with tryouts, and let's just kind of go through, and you guys can tell some stories.
Well, I know there was 7 of us that returned from the '84 national championship team. So Joe Mancuso, Mike Subchuk from Greenway, Tony Carpenter, Tom Kemp, myself, and Stan Bouch. Who am I missing? Is that 7? No. So anyway, so we had a pretty solid core coming back, but there were guys, you know, coming in. Oh, Lance Northey.
Yep.
From Two
Oh,
Harbors.
Lansing, yeah.
Yeah. So we got a couple of Two Harbors guys, Albert, Tim Medine. You know, Bucko came over. Yeah, John Clark. Bucko came over from Evelyn. Right. So there's lots of guys trying out.
Tim Hedin.
Timothy.
I worked at Budweiser with him back.
he's
in
still
the day.
there.
He's still over there. Huh? Back
Well,
in
even
Superior.
Best
Beverages.
job ever.
Even Bucko, why not MCC? Did he like you guys? Was he chasing a girl in Hibbing? What was the story?
I think
That's why I had to ask if they still had a
his,
program then.
I think his story is, hey, all his buddies, all the people he knew were going to Virginia, to Wasabi, and he saw that we had won the championship the year before and decided I'm just going to break away and start my own thing.
Well, the other reason Buck ended up over there is that my dad right there and Buck's dad Bobo taught together at Cobb Cook Elementary School. So Buck, first time away from home and whatnot, he was kind of nervous about going to Virginia because they hated him.
Because you're an Evelyn guy.
He was a little bastard on the
I know
ice,
the
you know,
feeling.
he's got-
I couldn't even play league golf over in Evelyn. They hated me.
Yeah,
What
that's
are you
it.
doing over here, Blue Devil? Get out of here.
I got a picture of Buck down in his basement of him with one leg up after they beat Virginia, skating around the arena with his finger in the air. Right, so he wasn't going to Virginia; he was coming to Hibbing, and he lived with us. He stayed with us, and he was a good fight. I remember, as long as we're on a Buck story, I remember that when I had to play with him, I ended up starting out as a forward. That's what I played through high school, kind of a in the corner kind of a guy, in front of the net kind of a guy. I was a lot bigger. I'm like 165 pounds now. I played college hockey at about 225. Really? So anyway, I could wing it around a little bit. Well, anyhow, somebody got hurt. I can't even remember who it was. And Frank came to me and he said, "I want you to play defense." And I remember I was kind of pissed about it. I thought, what do you mean? And I think, Freddie, I think you came and talked to me and kind of said, hey, man, we need you back there. Let's make the shift and you can make it work and whatnot. Anyway, so I get partnered up with Buck Achiever, which I'm not wild about, right? He's like 115 pounds. I don't really know him. He's kind of a wild ass. And I can remember, I can't remember who we were playing, but it was preseason at the Memorial Building. And they're coming down the ice and this guy somehow gets by Buck. And now it's a 2-on-1 on me, right? And fortunately, we got Stan, and I don't know what the hell to do. So Stan's going, I'm a defense. I never played defense before. Stan's going, I got the shooter. And so I'm going to take, I look in horror as I see Bucko screaming up behind the guy and just two hands him across the back. And I thought, this is going to get interesting this year. And we've been friends ever since.
Well, yeah, he didn't want to bail out on you. He got beat, and he was going to do whatever he can to make sure it wasn't a 2-on-1.
The culling process, though, was Frank was a physical guy. I mean, he, when we talk about training, we were in shape, and there wasn't anything he ever asked us to do, I don't think, that he couldn't do himself, whether it was a bunch of pull-ups or sitting against the wall like this and those goddamn things and your knees are shaking. Remember that?
Running Boy Scout Hill.
He's out there leading. So it was, some people just kind of fell off to the wayside. A lot of them dismissed themselves. I remember getting in a couple of brawls right in practice with, God rest his soul, Pete Javarina, and I just duking it out. And you're kind of waiting for the coach to come and break you up, and you realize you better be able to take this guy.
It's
if you're
called
up the glove.
bonding.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So go back to that. So the trial. Let's start with the trial. So what do you guys remember, or what sticks out? Anything? How many guys roughly? Do you remember that?
Well, there was 40. There
Yeah,
was,
there
there was
was
a
40.
lot.
That
there
was
was a
the
lot.
exact article. Okay.
Yeah,
It was a tough team to make. It really was. And it came down to I would say Frank valued things like skill, right? Skill, but he also valued just hard work, commitment, the ability to learn. Because I know a lot of that 40 guys. I wasn't 40 guys better than anybody else. I mean, I think there was a character thing there. There was how do you fit
Commitment.
in? He played all that stuff into
Who he took,
who he took.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing that he was able to, do this, right, pull it together. And I think that the key, the thing that I always go back to is, we're playing against Bucko in high school, right?
Yeah.
You hate these guys. Playing against Greenway. You don't like Greenway guys. And all of a sudden you got guys, Greenway, Two Harbors, Evelyn, in the same locker room.
Yeah. Chisholm.
Chisholm.
Yeah.
I mean, how so the magic of making all that work after not caring for these guys very much while you were playing against them in high school. I think that was kind of the miracle that Frank could pull together.
Yep, that's for sure. And I remember going down after practice too, and we'd jump rope with our skates on. We'd push each other, and Frank he was the king of the homemade weights, so there was like some cement buckets there, full of this, and something he welded up at the shop, that weighed X amount.
You guys have the springs? Remember
Yeah,
the
we had
springs?
some springs. We did that, that stuff.
5-gallon buckets full
Yeah.
of Sackcrete.
Yeah.
Coffee cans with concrete.
Well, that's what he had. And he always said, "Hey, did you guys work out?" He goes, I knew you didn't work out because I had a $20 bill under that weight down there. It's been there for a month." So
that was another one of his. Got lots of good sayings. I remember, and it was the first time that I ever had a coach kind of teach me how to fight. Like, remember, we do a little fake fight stuff, right? Like, this is going to happen, and they don't come and break it up. So you better, if you drop the gloves at the guy, you better make sure.
I
you
heard he
take
had
him.
boxing gloves in the locker room. Really? That is true.
And down in the boxing area
At the Memorial Building.
At the Memorial Building,
Where the old Golden
absolutely.
Gloves,
Yep.
Golden Gloves was, yeah. Okay, let me get a quick ad read in here. Aspire Heating and Control, your local Bryant dealer, and Bryant is the official heating and cooling company of your Minnesota Wild. It's not heating season, it's definitely cooling season. So if you need an AC tune-up, listen up here. Aspire specializes in gas, electric, and hydronic heating and cooling systems for existing and new construction. Residential and commercial installations available. Services include forced air systems, boilers, heat pumps, mini splits. They are, of course, licensed and bonded. Justin's your guy. He's a hockey guy. Give Justin a call, 218-999-5957. Like I said, if you need a tune-up right now for the 4th of July weekend, you got company coming, Aspire Heating and Control, 999-5957.
And it's going to be a warm one.
It's got to be a warm. It's getting warm in here with this jacket on. Am I allowed? I got to ask the producer if I'm allowed to take this off. It doesn't look like it.
No.
He didn't say it's warm, it's hot.
That's a no, Johnny.
So, all right. So then you roll. How do you guys want to do this? You want to roll into the year? You want to talk about the year, and then each of you a little bit, and then we'll move on to kind of tournament time.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll follow up.
Well, so
Color commentary.
So this is the '85 season. We had just won the national championship the year before. So, in my mind is our next thing is a repeat, right? How are we going to do this? And so it was, again, we got 7 guys from last year. We put 17 other guys in the mix. You got to kind of get them on the same page. I mean, and we, there were times during the year. I mean, we pumped a lot of goals. I think the first game of the season we won 14-0, right, against Rainy River, and so we just kept going. But there were times that you got a little complacent as a team. There was one game against Rainy River that came down, and it was 3-3 after the second period, and we're like, all right, what are we doing here, right? We just pounded these guys 14-0, and we sort of had a little rallying point. Well, what they do, they came out, and a guy scores a natural hat trick. Well, they were up 4-3. He scores a natural hat trick to start the third period. So I know we're down 7-3, and we're looking at. I think Frank had a little chirping going, right? But we ended up starting about 12 minutes left in the game. We scored 6 goals. We beat them 9-7. And it was just one of those things where, you could turn it on, but we didn't want to have to turn it on like that. So, we had games like that. And like Roy said, we lost 3 games. and one of them to St. Scholastica. And you know, at that point, Frank's interview in the paper, it was like we were the worst team he'd ever seen. Right? He talked about, well, you know, we didn't do this or do that. He goes, we got intimidated by a beard and a headband. Right? So some guy had a beard and some had a headband on, and he said, well, one of their players fell, but I think he toe picked. Right? So we just got eviscerated in the paper because we lost the game, right? And then we came back and beat them, you know, like 7-5 the next time we played them, right? So, you know
how to push buttons.
Yeah, and you know the expectation was there, but I also think it came in the locker room, right? You know, we had 7 guys that had done it and wanted to redo it. I mean, Roy played in Hibbing, right? We had a winning history, right? And winning was, you know, something that we grew up with. We didn't lose a lot, so it was about doing that. But there was still, we had to continue to fight our way through, right? And you know, we had injuries or guys go down, and you know, we just got to figure it out.
It sounded like he had a magical way of keeping you guys humble.
Oh, there was plenty of that. Yeah, plenty
That's
of
the
that.
sign of a great coach.
Yeah.
Oh, it was, you know, what I remember too about that season was, and you know, I wasn't on the '84 team, but what really got me going right away was when we would be on the road, and you know, you have that thing on your shoulder on Freddie's jersey, you're the previous national championship, and you'd skate on the ice to resounding boos. You know, it was like being in Slapshot, right? When you're playing on the road, the Chiefs are playing in Syracuse, and they're going to get stuff thrown at them.
Yeah,
and
with a set of keys.
I can remember that. Frank check us and said, if you're wearing a tie, make sure it's a clip-on tie, because they're going to grab you around the neck. And I remember Reed Larson or somebody, you know, had them there. We had to get them out of there. But he, you're right. He at that level of hockey, at that time, if you were on one of those teams, you were a pretty decent hockey player. And so there's the developing the talent, and then like Freddie said, is how do you kind of meld that into a team? And so for Frank, he really was the master of psychology, right? I mean, how do I get these guys peaked up? I mean, he was. Herb Brooks had nothing on a Frank speech in between periods.
Oh, he was a speech guy?
Huh?
Yeah.
Oh, he was.
Oh, yeah, just like, and I can remember that, and I still feel like that to this day. It's partly his fault. It's like he'd say, if you lose, the worst thing about being a loser is that until the next time you win, you're a loser.
You're gonna wake up
in the morning.
You're gonna wake up in the middle of the night, go to the bathroom, look in the mirror. You're gonna be a loser.
Yeah, you're still
Right?
a loser.
Until you win the next game.
time you
Until you win the
win.
next game. Yeah.
So what do you remember about the season, or what?
I remember one realizing right away, because remember my focus purely was I want to win a national championship. I mean, a guy like me to be able to do that, and this was the team to do it. I felt a little bit like a free agent, like, okay, I'm on this. I'm going shopping around for a team to play on, and this was the team. And so I remember sort of early on, you know, especially when, you know, realizing Stan was going to come back and play in the goals. It was like having just another guy on the ice. I mean, you'd be on defense and he'd be pounding the ice back there, wanting the puck, and you better pass it to him, right? Because he was, and he could.
And he had the best shot on the team.
He had the best shot on the team. He could run that thing about this high off the ice all the way down, killing penalties. You could just feed the puck back. He was a, you know that kind of a goalie when you just have confidence in front of the guy, and he was kind of like, you know, the size of Ken Dryden, but he had the bulldog like a Billy Smith.
Never seen hands that fast.
Yeah, just unbelievable. So once you had that secure, and then you had guys like Freddie that could just a pure goal scorer. You know, I mean, we had. I can remember he used to come. He'd be that weird ass thing. I'd fall down every time I tried it, but he'd come across the blue line and then kind of turn sideways with his stick up to about here, like Happy Gilmore, ready to tee off, and just pow, like Ovechkin. From Freddie's office, and we had a couple of lines like that, you know, that could really put the puck in, and that we had a pretty solid, you know, except for me, a pretty solid defensive core back there. It just got to be a lot of fun right away. That's what I remember. And then I don't know, there was a camaraderie on the team, you know, so they all lived in a house over there on like 42nd, or what's that street that goes, like a couple in back of the Memorial Building, and it goes down past the college and out to DuPont Lake.
25th.
25th. Yeah, they lived in a house. John Clark lived over there and all that. And that was kind of, you just went there after practice. You know, you hung out there. We hung out together. We did things.
So you had the camaraderie.
Yeah,
like you
that
said.
was it.
Most
That was
winning teams
big.
do. They get along pretty darn good.
Yep.
Look at the Panthers. I mean, I don't think
Correct.
those guys don't look like they're having any fun right now.
No.
The Florida Panthers,
Yep.
right? You know,
Well, they didn't like Marshawn very much till he got there. And he was his best friend.
and a re-sign I just heard. This
Oh.
morning. A re-sign with
Oh,
the
really?
with the
Did he?
Panthers.
Oh,
6
nice.
years. What are you saying, Freddie? Were you saying it?
Yep.
Six years. So, anyhow, Reed, anything? Or
Oh, you know, when I think about the national championships and just the words of I want to win a national championship, now that I mean we're maybe a slight reach, but it sounds to me like guys that were going into, 5 years after the fact of the Miracle on Ice, right?
Yeah.
The guys are like, well, I just wanted to win a national championship. That's why I went to the University of Minnesota. Or this guy took the national championship ring right off my hand. It's the way I hear you guys talking about the national championship that. That's the highest pinnacle that many people get to reach in the game, and I don't see a ring here with anybody. I was hoping that somebody brought one.
because
with.
Reed's a national champ. UWS.
I want to see this,
That's
baby.
it. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh,
He's
got two of them.
I
You should
like
have
it.
one on each hand.
Oh, he's got two of them.
There we go.
Oh, look at those babies. Yeah, I'm kind of a ring guy. We're gonna flash the camera.
These
here.
were
No,
not,
I got
these
you.
are not the gaudy ones that they get now. These are just sort of,
Oh,
hey, here
they're
you go.
nice.
Well, tough times on the range then. We already talked about that.
That's right.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
never knew.
That's been
Roger, you're gonna attach a picture of these babies.
That's nice. Thank you.
I,
You're gonna attach a picture.
I asked Susie everything I can't find. I said, Susie, where's my ring? She said, it's in the safety deposit box at Wells Fargo. After I said, we should bring our rings.
Ultimate value. Ultimate
Yeah,
value.
And Reed, you said something about the national championship and around the gold medal game in 1980, and that's sort of how it was. I mean, the '84 year, so the year before Roy and I played, right?
Yep.
Canton was Team Russia, right?
Uh-huh.
And they had won 9 of 10 national championships. All right, this is the year before, but this story, we go to the national tournament, we roll in, and they have a banquet or a dinner and the coach, Terry Martin, for Canton was going to retire after that year, right? And so we're sitting at this banquet, and it's Canton, this, Canton, that, Canton, and I'm like, I got on the bus, and I'm like, I can't believe this. They've already given him the trophy, and I was whipped up, right? So we got the team whipped up, and then we ended up beating them 7-6 in overtime. And surprising, the next year Terry Martin's back on the bench for Kent because he didn't retire. He didn't want to retire or lose, so we pummeled him again the next year.
So then he finally had enough.
I don't know. I don't know when he finally retired, but
Find it out.
so yeah, no, it was, and again, it's and for Frank, right? Let's go back. He started this in 1972. He lost to Canton in 74, 75. Right? His national tournament runs always ended with getting beat by Canton.
Yeah.
I mean, and so this was, for me, I love winning, right? But being able to win it,
Yep.
but being able to win it twice with my uncle is sort of added to what it means to
Yeah,
me.
his
as far as
Shreddy's uncle is Coach Frank Catano.
Correct.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
You think about the Sonny Canton, which is funny about it because they were there in '96 when my brother's team from Itasca was there as well, and I believe I can't remember.
Was Terry Martin a coach? I don't know.
Maybe I don't
Terry
even.
Martin?
I was a punk kid. I was 17 years old, going, "What? I'm at Lake Placid. This is where the '80 Olympics was played." It was pretty cool, but that team was like a dynasty of the
Sure.
junior college. It reminds me of my times playing at UW Superior because and I played in the early 2000s, 2000, 2001, 2002. You had that time frame when from like 95 until like 2000-ish or 99 where Middlebury was the team that was winning Division III national championships, and Sonny Canton was kind of like the bad word in junior college where Middlebury, this is a bad word. They were knocking UWS out every year that they made it. And yeah, interesting scenario there. It's funny, I'll have to pass that on to my brother with the Sonny Canton.
There you go.
They didn't get along very well out there, remember that.
Well, in the '85 year, we went start to finish rated number 1 in the nation.
Yep.
Right. So we ran right through, and we showed up. So we played Erie in the semifinal game. And they had, at that
And
point...
this is in Chicago.
This is in Chicago, yeah, Chicago.
Naperville.
Naperville, yes.
Yep. So, I lined up for the face-off against the leading scorer in the nation, and I think I was second or third behind him. And I just grinned at him, and he picked up the puck, and started coming through center ice, and I'm like, all right, I gotta nail him.
Gotta
right?
line him up?
Gotta line him up. So I lined him up, and he's, kind of give me some lip, and I'm like, dude, what do you expect? You're the leading scorer in the nation. I'm just gonna let you go by, right? And so we beat those guys, and then we beat Canton in the following game. But these were times when post game hydration was not necessarily protein shakes and stuff like that, right? So we're playing in a national tournament, and after the game, we're back at the hotel, and we're drinking beers, and I think Stan showed up for the national championship game probably hungover, but played like a
So this is after the Erie game. You're
After
back
the
at the
Erie
hotel
game,
not having protein
Right.
shakes.
Not having protein shakes. And we didn't have protein shakes, so our bus driver, right, we win. At that point, it's Stroh's, and Stroh's Light were the beers of choice
Really?
at Hibbing Community College.
Just so everybody knows, if I can throw like a disclaimer out there, I believe at this time frame, the drinking age didn't change to 21 until 86.
It was 90.
It was-
Or 19. 19 was the age.
Yeah, 19. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it was 86 when it changed. So they
Nobody
were
was breaking
drinking
any
of
laws.
age.
We were of age. Yeah.
You were of age.
But our bus driver picked up, so we had two Greyhound buses. Two Greyhounds, a team, and then a fan bus that were there. And so he picked up 30 cases
Oh,
of Stroh's and Stroh's Light. And we left Chicago and started heading up 94. With all these people drinking, the bathroom on the Greyhound started to overflow down
boy.
the hall, right? So we pulls over on the side of I-94, outside of Madison.
Pull the
close
plug.
the hatch.
Pop. And there's about 20 guys standing out on the side of the road.
Relieving.
Correct. So I mean,
Where's the picture of that one? Who is that one?
there would be a lot more people in jail, I think, if there were Instagram and all that stuff when we were playing.
Oh, that's funny. All right, let me get another ad read in here quick. Our partners over at the Rink Sports Bar and Grill. So when you're in the Quad Cities, the place to be, the Rink Sports Bar and Grill, just off of the Hockey Hall of Fame. Daily specials, breakfast, lunch, dinner, including a daily happy hour, and of course, always the Friday fish fry. 248-8582, 248-8582, or the Rink Sports Bar and Grill.com, where you can order there. Use up those gift cards we told you to get during the holidays. So give Michelle a call, 248-8582, and tell her the Tea with Miss McGill show sent you. One thing when I was researching,
Well, go ahead.
I'm going backward just a little bit, but I saw that you guys were the state champions in '85. What I was wondering is, was there a state championship tournament, or was
Yes.
it just based on rankings? Okay, so that is, so tell us a little bit about that, because that was unique. Again, my years of community college hockey, it was nothing like that.
Yeah, no, it was based on standings, right? So it was a 2-game total goal series. So back in that day, it was a 2-game total goal series, right? So I think we played Northland, which is out of Thief River. We beat them, and then we played Crookston. We beat them, and then this year in '85, we had to play Botno to go, right? So I don't know what schedule they played, but they came down here and
To Hibbing?
to play. And I remember when they came on the ice, they were skating around, and they did like wind sprints from one sideboard to the other, and they jumped up and they bent the plexiglass back. And we're like, what did we get ourselves into here? And this was one of the first years of aluminum sticks, right? So they had a handful of aluminum sticks, and we, the first game, Bucko was going back into a corner and kind of got tangled with a guy. The stick got between him and the board and broke his arm. So he missed the rest of the season. The first game of our first game of the Botno series, he was out. They carried him out, cut his jersey out.
Brutal.
Yeah, it was a bad scene.
Yep.
So we go into the second game of total goals, and they know that there's no way they're gonna beat us. And I'm looking at these guys coming off the ice, and the guys coming on the ice don't have sticks, and they're giving them their aluminum sticks, and they were chopping wood the whole third period, and we were just getting aluminum, man. So that's the thing I remember about those guys.
Yeah, that was a tough season. The whole season was. I had probably a little bit of a different, view of it because it was. I was a 22-year-old sophomore.
At 225 pounds.
Yeah, I mean, I was older, and I had kind of had, some experience with school. I didn't, wasn't doing so well at that time. And when I came back, well, I had a couple jobs out on the West Coast, like being a rancher, working on a ranch. I mean, I've had my arm up to here into a cow in my life, right? And I don't want to do that anymore. And I worked on a fishing boat as well.
I can see why.
Pulling nets and making good money and all of that stuff. And I realized I needed to go back to school. So when I came back, I had a little bit more business attitude about things. I'd study on the bus. I did well in school, and then when I transferred up to Bemidji, I just continued on with that. So in terms of playing the game, I kind of approached it like that too, because again, my goal was, I want this thing at the end, and I want to make sure I get it. So as you dial it, you're right. When we got into the Botany series, that was the first time that I thought, ooh, this might not happen, because they were good, fast. I can remember going around and the flag on the end of the arena started going out like this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they were intimidating at first, but we
All
were
Canadians?
Oh, I think majority of them.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Saskatchewan League guys.
Yeah, and that was one of those games too when Frank just kind of gave you the one leg, pet your pants on, one leg at a time, just like we do, boom, boom, boom.
But I think you said it earlier, though, right? I mean, we rated number one the entire season. Every team we played, we're going to knock these guys off.
yeah.
We're going to knock it. So, we had to have our A game going, which we did most of the time, but there's times where we had to come back.
So what was the bus ride down to Chicago like? Quiet, nervous?
No, I think it was, we stopped and we skated at Augsburg College. So we stopped partway.
Nice.
And then Hibbing High School was playing in the state tournament. I think Frank got off because his son Tony, my cousin, was playing.
Yep.
So he got off there and he ended up flying down.
Okay.
So we were coachless and still made it to the tournament.
Imagine
all
that.
right.
So there wasn't 30 cases of beer on the way down?
It was
just
not
on the
30
way
cases
down.
of beer on the way down.
Yeah, that's really what I was going for.
And while we had a lot of fun, I think we also knew what we wanted to accomplish.
For sure.
Right? So we had to hold it together a little bit, but yeah, we did not have protein shakes.
No.
And so Freddie, you were an All-American on that team?
I was.
Ouch, goalie.
Yep,
Who
that was
else?
it. That was it.
Just the two of you?
Yep.
Okay.
Well
Awesome.
deserved. I laugh about that. Some of those things too that you talk about, how you getting started in hockey and whatnot, and I think about the national championship game and this, but every one of us that's played hockey, sometimes you realize you might have had your best hockey game in your life that wasn't maybe part of this season, but it was on, like, I look at my cousin Brad sitting there and my brother, and I can remember one time being out here at Skunk Lake or Deer Shacks, and we had taped up a Copenhagen can, right, and broke some sticks off the thing, and we're out there on the lake at midnight on a full moon night, and just playing hockey, just pure playing hockey, the joy of it. People forget what that's like. Caveman hockey. Yeah, that was, so I just, it's just still to this day, I just turned 62. It's not lost on me what that season meant. That one, I get a little cryy now, that one season to be a national champion. And could I have gone and maybe found another school to play at my last 2 years somewhere, or someone that needed a senior defenseman or whatever? But you know what? I always would imagine, I still do, like watching the Stanley Cup playoff Game 7, and you always look at the team that wins, but what's it like to lose? Right. I don't know what that's like, and I don't ever want to find out. And so I never,
It's not fun.
No,
It's
I
not
never
fun.
laced up my skates again. I mean, I play, with you guys and whatnot, and play as much as I can, but in a competitive game that really like that, I never went on. So I always say the last game I ever played, I won a national championship. And that's it for me.
So when you look in the mirror, you're a winner.
I'm a
You're
winner.
You're a winner for life.
That's what coach
Let's
said.
ask your wife. Is he a winner for life?
I got her. I got it. I won that right there.
That's the best trophy you won.
That's it.
Well, so this is 40 years. Are you guys having a reunion?
I don't know, there's been a lot of talk. We did it at 30, and it's just sort of
Yeah.
sliding away
Well,
right
it
now.
happens.
You know,
later in life.
we'll have to figure something out.
You know
It'd
what
be
we
good.
did for the 30? Right, we had a big old thing out at the country club. We
we
played
played
golf,
golf.
and then we went. Where did we go?
To
To
the Coachman's?
Palmer's?
No, we went to
the
the Coachman's.
That was the headquarters. The
Yeah,
Coachman.
Coachman.
Vlahovich's owned the Coachman in town. So on our 30th, the day before, I kind of put out the thing that said, anybody that wants to play golf, show up out at Pekegama. So I took my houseboat down, and I parked it at the golf course, and I got a Hibbing banner that said Cardinals on there. And I think Al showed. I don't know. There was probably 4 or 5 of us that showed up and played. We played golf over here, and we went out on the lake and cruised around.
Had a great
That
time.
was fun.
Well, I'd like to see that. I'd like to have
I got
the
some pictures
light
of
at the
that.
end of the tunnel saying that at the 40 year you get something going. We just had our 20 year 3 years ago for our national championship in 2022, and
Yeah.
I'd like to think we'd have a 30 year and a 40 year.
Oh, it's
People are
something.
still excited. Well, of course, I don't know how far guys are traveling to get there. We got Canadians that are coming down, and always, every reunion you do, it seems like there's less guys that can make it, and it'd be nice to see that. I'd like to hear updates if that ever comes
Yeah.
up. And,
We'll let you know if it happens. But
Yeah.
the thing I remember is showing up on the driving range, right? And everybody's hitting balls, and you're looking around, and guys don't look exactly like they did. But it took about 6 seconds before the shit talk started again. And it was just like we were in the locker room.
oh yeah.
Just like we're in the locker room.
Well, the chirping never ends.
Chirping
It just,
never ends. No.
Now it just happens over social media, probably.
Susie has that picture on the houseboat right there. She just looked it up. You know what was I going to say? I don't know. Yeah, it was. It'll come back to me. Too many.
You just
Have I
turned
played-
62.
Have I played concussed? That was the other thing. We should talk a little bit about mental health at some point, because I think about that. I mean, and that was my style. That's why I suck so bad at men's league hockey, because I can't just put my shoulder
your
on
body
somebody.
around.
They just go around me. I'm like, what? So, but we never had any of that
Yeah.
protocol.
Right.
Right? I mean, have I ever played concussed?
Oh, we didn't either.
Absolutely, I have.
Yeah, we
Most of the time.
Yeah, you didn't see that become
No.
a thing until probably closer to 2005, 2006
Yeah.
is when they started doing that stuff and they paid more attention to the concussion protocol.
wonder about
and,
it.
Yeah, for sure.
I just, and I'll just admit here, when I never realized when I was done, and just didn't play, because I didn't start playing, just all of a sudden men's until maybe 10 years ago.
Okay.
With you guys, I really didn't play much, and I can just, I never realized how much that I depended on the game to take out excess energy, anxiety, frustration, and I'll tell you what, there were some years after that where I really struggled with. I
Needed a distraction,
drank a
yeah.
lot. I was getting in fights in bars, and just stupid stuff. But I never realized that. And then as you kind of grow up and you start to study your own self a little bit more, you realize that, hey, something's up here. And I truly, I think in any athlete, but particularly in hockey, that's, it's a game built around fear and aggression.
Sure.
Really, right?
Yeah,
Time, take
for
away
sure.
time and space.
Yep.
And it, I don't know.
Well, so I sort of went down the same path, right? Is like I was going to go back to school, and I thought about, hey, maybe I'll play, right? And I'm thinking, you know what? I'm going to go from playing power play, penalty kill, scoring a lot of goals, to maybe a third or fourth line role. And you know what? I just went out on top.
Yeah.
Why not just call it good, right? So, the most I got was playing intramural. So I went to school and I was playing, I got with a pretty good study group of chemical engineering majors. And I'm saying, all right, let's go play, right?
I didn't have that.
Well, so, I needed help there. So I said, look, you help me through, quantum chemistry, and I'll help you on the intramural ice rink.
Oh, better. Hey,
Right.
what a
So
deal.
we
That's
did
a
that.
fair deal.
It was
That's
a fair deal.
deal.
And I just remember coming off the ice after the first game, and this guy goes, "You skated backwards with the puck." I'm like, "Yeah, I know, buddy, but you helped me with the triple integrals, right? All right. We'll call it a wash."
Funny.
All right, well, we're almost an hour in. As we wrap, anything else, Coach?
No, it's been an absolute pleasure talking about JUCO hockey. You know, they still have, you know, JUCO baseball, and in some areas they've got JUCO football. And unfortunately, it's a thing of the past here. But that past and the history of it, it still stands tall in the area. Like I said, there's some fun Itasca teams I got to watch. I never got a chance to watch HCC play in the time frame. I was a little shaver when this was all going on. But the history is something else. Thanks for being here.
Well, I appreciate you guys doing this, right? Because, you know, between all the jerseys and this, you know, it is sort of a lost history. And, you know, we're not that old yet, but, well, it's good to know that people still may have an interest in it. So I appreciate you guys having us on.
Oh yeah, it's awesome. Well, of course, you got the link to your uncle Frank, who got it all started. So it's and this, you know, I was telling you to preach that. This will be here forever now. You can find us on YouTube or wherever.
I don't know if that's good or bad.
You can play this at the 50th reunion. All right.
Roger will make sure that when he attaches this, he'll take a couple of pictures of those championship rings.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Make sure we get that added to the post when it gets out there in the social media world.
Perfect.
Well, so as we wrap up, to both of you, anything we didn't bring up you wanted to talk about?
About hockey or just?
Well, just about, the whole thing. I mean, just about, in general.
I got lots to say.
You know, sometimes people have said I'm a good talker, but there's no way better talker than this guy. Jeez, oh man.
For office, you need an ad? No.
All right, well then we'll wrap this up. So of course, happy Canada Day to everybody yesterday. This will be up. It's July 2nd. Should be up tonight. So have everyone have a safe and great Independence Day weekend. Of course, more shows coming up. So it's our summer season. So we're only on the once a month. So been talking with a few people, including Frank Serratori. I think we're going to try and get the coach of Air Force on. All right. So Tea with Miss McGill. Find us everywhere. Find us on X under T McGill. Find us on Instagram, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts under Tea with Miss McGill. Facebook and YouTube, it's Goat Sports Media LLC. And Rumble, it's Goat Sports, just one word. Of course, plenty of merch, plenty of hats. Get a hold of Reader Eye if you want something like that. And as always, a huge thank you to the greatest partners on earth: Aspire Heating and Control, the Ring Sports Bar and Grill, Aero Auto Glass and Supply, Fortune Bay Resort and Casino, Zorbas of Grand Rapids. Again, thanks for hosting us, Zorbas. Thanks to our audience here. Holy cow, we're tearing it up. I'm still very nervous doing it in front of all these people. Iron Range Goalie Academy, Grand Rapids Chevrolet GMC, Minnesota Hockey Camps, Jackson Hole Moose Hockey Club, Iron Range Plumbing and Heating, and the First National Bank of Chisholm and Cook. For Reed Larson, I am Puka. Get out there and be your dream, your tune too. The Tea with Miss McGill Show.
First National Bank of Chisholm, where tradition meets the future. Locally owned and operated from our historic Lake Street location in the heart of Chisholm since 1905. From savings to your first big purchase, we're your partner every step of the way. First National Bank of Chisholm, the power to do more.
All right, fellas. You just can't get the hockey itch out of yourself. The college route isn't for you. Community college route isn't for you. The junior hockey route isn't for you. Well, there's still hockey that you can play. Why don't you check out the Jackson Hole Moose out in Jackson, Wyoming? Take a look at these guys. Full crowds, full hockey, packed houses every night. Get a hold of TJ Thomas on Facebook, and he can get you hooked up with what's going on out there in Jackson Hole.
To hear about Zorba's specials. On Mondays, it's Micro Monday. All taps are just $4. Tuesdays, $3 tacos and $4 Dos Equis. Wednesdays, personal pizzas, $8 and domestic taps, $4. Thursdays, we have deals on nachos and $5 Surly taps. We offer trivia on Wednesdays at 6 p.m., bingo on Thursday at 6 p.m., and then karaoke Thursdays at 10 p.m.
Did you know that fascia strength training is great if you have a banged up body and you'd like to heal and get stronger at the same time? Unlike muscle-focused exercise that leaves your body stiff and achy, fascia strength exercise releases muscle tension and fills your body with a spring-loaded power and cat-like agility. Fascia strength is great for athletes and martial artists. If you'd like to pursue this training, take a look at my program, Fascia Strength and Power. I'll leave a link in the description box below.